Now you get a knock at the door or the doorbell, and it's the police. There's almost nothing more terrifying, is there?
It's so long since it's happened, and I can't remember how I would have reacted if it happened again.
But you presume the worst, don't you? Think, oh, no, something's happened to my mum or my son, or, like, you know, you just imagine the fear. Well, this poor grandmother in Greater Manchester got that. Apparently, they rang the doorbell. She's got one of those camera bells. So she saw it was the police, and she rushed home thinking, what's happened?
She thought somebody had died. And
guess what the police were there for? Would you like to read, Andrew, what she wrote on Facebook? Yeah. This is extraordinary.
This is George Orwell officially now. These are the thought police who, instead of stopping real crime, turned up at her door to say there'd been a complaint because she put on social media... Remember the fuss we reported here extensively on GB News about the minister who had to resign as a health minister because he'd put offensive things on a WhatsApp group about pensioners and various things. So this lady, 54-year-old granny from Stockport, who's a school administrator, said, oh, will Councillor Sedgwick, will you be resigning? Gosh, that's offensive and shocking, isn't it? And another one, she said, not looking good for Councillor Sedgwick. So two coppers, plain clothes, turn up to say, we've had a complaint, you have to think about your language. Why should she?
And I think the most chilling part of this story is that she now says, I'm too frightened to put... I'm now too terrified, she said, to post on social media again.
So that's job done for the police?
Job done. Silence us. Just shut it down. We don't want debate. We don't want criticism. We're the Labour government. We do as we say, not as
she did say to the police officers, I'm amazed you're here. Have I done anything wrong? No, but we're just giving you advice. And then she said, it's a pity you weren't here a bit more quickly when we complained about the spate of cars getting nicked from her street.
Yeah.
And the copper said, oh, I'm not getting into that. No, of course he's not. Now, look, who sends the ball?
Well, which busybody is looking through Facebook to dodge... Report a crime, absolutely. If you see somebody doing something wrong, you should be ringing 999, you should be getting video footage, whatever it is, to get people banged up if they're doing something wrong. But just dobbing on your neighbours or just looking through Facebook...
Fully entitled to ask, are these councillors going to resign? As a result of that WhatsApp group, 11 councillors were suspended. So she was asking a legitimate question.
Yeah, and... You know, we need to... Once you are self-policing like that, we are just living in a tyrannical country. We just are. If it means that you don't... We have seen this increasingly, and it's exactly what J.D. Vance, the VP in America, and Donald Trump have been talking about with this country and saying that under Keir Starmer, free speech is dying in this country.
Imagine if J.D. Vance, who'd made that point about free speech, had mild questions on Facebook, and she gets two coppers, plainclothes, on her doorstep.
And she wasn't found guilty of anything. I think it's really important to say that. There was no crime in the end. But...
Actually...
I hope they're embarrassed.
Awful. I don't know if the grandmother lives on her own, but it would shake you up, wouldn't it?
It's just awful. I hate everything about it.
You or I wouldn't be shaken up. You or I would have had a big fight with them.
Yeah, we would, absolutely. gbnews.com/your say to let us know your thoughts.
Now, we have to read a statement from Greater Manchester Police who say this.
How about you say to the complainant, there's nothing to see here? Right, anyway.
Nobody's minimising genuine abuse against councillors and MPs. Nobody is, not on this station. However, this was completely anodyne.
Yeah.
Now, look, big overseas changes in Germany. Have we just seen... Well, we've seen another country vote against the horrors of mass migration.
That's right, and this is going to be interesting for all of us in this country, of course, because the Conservatives have won the election with the Alternative for Germany, the controversial party that the BBC call far-right, securing a record second place.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who was a great friend of Keir Starmer saw him not once, not twice, 6 times since he became Prime Minister, has been humiliated because his party were relegated to 3rd place.
That's right. So let's speak now to Christopher Hope.
To get rid of the euro and bring back the Deutschmark.
Well,
they could easily be the next government of Germany.
Brexit.
Yeah.
This is the implications. This is huge. You might sit at home and go, well, with German elections doesn't mean anything for me. The ripples of this and Trump as well.
And you've got in France Macron on the way out, and Marine Le Pen could easily be the French leader there. And she's very hardline on immigration. Pity our governments aren't.
You've all been getting in touch at home about that story of the grandmother in Greater Manchester being arrested. Well, not being arrested, being visited by the police over a Facebook post. We will talk about what you've been saying in just a minute, but also this morning. Very good morning. Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Bev until midday.
Well, the Vatican says Pope from Gavin Ashton, who's former chaplain to the Queen, Dr Gavin Ashton.
Across Britain are being visited by police officers and are being warned to curb, basically, their freedom of speech. This has only happened since Starmer became Prime Minister, so instructions must have been issued from the top. It seems an attempt by him to stop the constant criticism that he and his government are deservedly receiving. It's not freedom of speech that should be curtailed.
What do they call them? Non-crime hate crimes?
Non-crime hate incidents. So, in other words, you hate someone because of what you've said, but it's not actually a crime, but we're still going to knock on your door and terrify you.
And what is hateful about a woman expressing a view, is this councillor going to be resigned or be sacked? Nothing hateful about that. It's quite a mild-mannered, objective thing to ask.
Right. Anthony, morning, Anthony says, so Germany's new chancellor is to crack down on migrations. The migrants will now head towards France and then come to our shores, where Starmer will welcome them with open arms and a voting slip. But you see, we were talking about that this morning, weren't we? You see, I think if Germany are better at stopping...
well, they're going to have to be now.
Migrants coming in, they're going to have to.
Result.
Then presumably they won't. It means that people won't end up making their way through Europe and ending up down here. It could be beneficial to us.
They may stay in Italy.
They may stay in Italy, absolutely. And Gareth says, when the corrupt EU systematically ruined each European country with the introduction of the single currency without any referendums, it was the start of the dictatorship. Those countries that opposed it are doing OK.
And that party that came second in Germany, the highest ever vote, the AfD, they want to get rid of the euro and they want to bring back the Deutschmark.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Keep your messages coming to us this morning on the gbnews.com/Your Say website.
Now, Vladimir Zelensky says he will give up the Ukrainian presidency in exchange for NATO membership.
That's right. A week after Zelensky was branded a dictator by the US President Donald Trump, of course.
Well, let's talk to the former British Army.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Bev, and delighted to say we're joined in the studio now by former Labour advisor Matthew Talbot and Forenty. But we will tell you about times when we have on a beach.
But again, can I same continent?
Stick around for this storm that is between the parish councillors. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Bev. Brenda has got in touch. Morning, Brenda. She says, lol, it never fails, does it? Mention nudism, beaches, and the 15-year-old in every man emerges. I don't know about every man, every girl as well emerges. Stephen says, if councillors don't like nudist beaches, then don't go there.
Exactly. That's my point.
Wendy says, I'm with you, Wendy. My problem with nudist beaches are I just cannot stop laughing when I see old men and the touchers flopping around. I really can't. Talking of... No.
She's looking at me.
Right, moving on. So today, of course, seriously, marks the 3-year anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Zelensky said over the weekend that he will step down from his role if it secures peace.
I think if he gets the... if they get a place at the NATO, that's what he wants.
Yeah, well, political correspondent for the Financial Times, Anna, actors and influencers taking totally inappropriate videos and photos on beaches these days. There's no moral compass anymore. Leave the sign, let the naturists police the beach. If the naturists themselves aren't being lewd, why make it an issue?
Very good point.
Janie, I don't even like the display of flabby flesh under vest tops or with their legs out in the summer. So do you know what I do? Mind my own business and look away. That's the point, isn't it? That's what the naturist was saying. Well, if they can't... Because if you don't have a space where you can go, which has been known in the area for years as somewhere you can go and have a naked swim, why not?
For 50 years.
Absolutely. Jelly, morning Jelly, says 35 years ago on holiday in Spain, off to the beach with my family, all the women were topless. It was the best feeling of freedom I've ever experienced. Then my teenage daughter came back from a little paddle and said, oh, Mum, but I didn't let it spoil my freedom. I was only a size 10 then, she says, not so much now. Yeah, lots of you saying that you're on board with this naturist beach remaining as a nudist beach. Grumpy Grandad, morning, says, I don't care what people do indoors or in an enclosed space where nobody else can see them, but a public beach is different. I don't want to see that, and I don't want my grandkids to see it either.
Go to a different beach.
Exactly. Absolutely.
There's lots of them in Norfolk.
Yep.
Lots and lots and lots.
And, of course, a few of you getting in touch about this Facebook post with this granny that had the police knocking on her door.
Shame on the police.
Gerard says, I may get a visit from the police for this, but freedom of speech no longer exists in this country. You either spout what the left says or you get a visit from the police. I'm wondering when the police will be issued with new brown shirts under their new title of Starmer Troopers.
You do think it's Eastern Europe, don't you?
Yes.
East Germany. The Stasi.
Yeah.
I mean, the flag of liberty is flying pretty low in this country at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Frankly.
It's awful.
It's frankly, things like that make you think it's at half-mast.
Yeah, but it went on... I mean, I know you don't like me talking about 2020 onwards, but it went on steroids during the pandemic. That was when, for the first time in my life, I felt like I couldn't say what I thought was my truth and the version of events without being shot down. And that trajectory has just carried on. We made it OK to say, you can't say that. You can't say that. And now look where we are, 2025. We have to fight back. We have to push back on it and say, yes, I can. Lady of the House says there appears to be quite a few voyeurs on her. When you're on a nudist beach, you don't go around cavorting, and likewise, you do not go around with your binoculars. No, you don't. Right. Anyway, a lot of you talking about sizzling sausages.
Now, in Germany, we've seen another country vote against mass migration.
That's right. The Conservatives have won the election there, with the Alternative for Germany securing a record second place.
German Chancellor and Sir Keir Starmer's best mate Olaf Scholz has taken responsibility for his centre-left Social Democrats party slumping to third place.
So let's talk to Chairman of Facts for EU, Lee, with you from midday. But up next, if you don't want the police knocking on your door, find out.
Detectives from Greater Manchester Police have been accused of acting like thought police after they investigated a grandmother who had the temerity to criticise some local Labour councillors on Facebook. About that.
So we're joined now by the Director of Case Management at the Free Speech Union. Do you know what's amazing is that neither you nor me have had a knock on the door yet. But you see, they won't come for journalists. I've said this, they're not coming for journalists.
I also never answer the door. The door went last night, I didn't answer it.
Oh. Right, up next, an exclusive report from our Home and Security Editor, Mark White, at a training facility with UK and Ukrainian troops. But first, if you want some winter sun, here are some of our top holiday destinations and the temperatures they're in.
Or they would never confirm it, that we've got troops on the ground already in Ukraine involved in training and logistics, because we're very good at it. We may have a very small army. Thank you, David Cameron and the Tories, for 14 years. Maybe depleted now more than it was back to the levels of the Crimean War, but it's still a crack-art fighting force.
So Starmer could learn a few things from Trump, says Mark. He talks for hours, giving a lot of details about economy, finance, statistics, etc., without a teleprompter or sheets of paper in front of him, and he is a lot older. That's what I said about the fact that how this government is operating in America is pulling into such sharp focus the weaknesses in our current administration.
It was especially awkward with him reading from those big, large sheets of paper.
It's just embarrassing.
Couldn't he just have had an autocue somewhere in the Downing Street? He looked terrible. But actually, do it from here.
But it's been going on for 3 years. If you can't just wing it on that topic...
Yeah.
Anyway...
whatever you think of Boris, he'd have spoke with passion.
We will be winging it again tomorrow morning from 9:30. We will see you then. Here's Tom and Emily.